Speaking of hip hop,
Love this rap shit.
Mos Def was in a recent interview. Not sure who he interviewed with. I'm not trying to be funny. I just saw a bunch of the clips, but he said that Drake is more pop to him and not hip hop, and he hears Drake's music when he's like in Target and shopping or something to that degree. Um, I have a lot to say about this, but what was your
It
first
wasn't
reaction? Huh?
when I watched it, Mike. My first thought was, how many albums has Most Def made? Like rap albums? Because Drake's made more rap albums than Most Def has, aka Yasin.
Yeah.
So my first thought was like, well, he's actually done more rapping than you have in your career. That was my first immediate thought, Mike. Is like, you're talking about another artist who raps more than you actually rap.
They both
Wouldn't
sing and
one of
rap,
your,
which is interesting because Mos Def sings a lot too.
I was about to say, and don't Yasin sing a lot?
I think his biggest song is a singing record, and I love
Umi says?
Yasin. Huh?
Talking about Umi says?
Yeah.
Mike, it's probably his best song, and he's not rapping. That's the next thing I thought. I was like,
And he's an
your best song,
incredible
you don't even
MC.
rap.
He's an
Like
incredible MC.
his most classic song that gets played the most, even more than Miss Fat Booty, is a song where you don't even rap. And so I never thought I'd say this about Yasin. It wasn't until the comments afterwards where he kind of like played like, you see how he did like a whole dialogue of the women walking through Target in their head. Did you watch that part where he's doing the dialogue? Yeah, so he did a whole dialogue after that, and it just came off to me as a little bit of jealousy, actually. But like, because he did the whole dialogue like somebody walking through Target shopping after that, and he did it in a real like. It's bad when I'm saying this. He did this in a real condescending and arrogant manner, Mike. And I was like, and I'm gonna tell you, like I told one of our staff members last night. You know, if I'm talking about somebody's ego and arrogance, you know the shit's bad, right? You know it's bad when I'm saying that, right? Because I understand it's bad when I'm saying that. And so it did come off as a little condescending and arrogant and from a certain type of place that was kind of sarcastic. And it's like, what Drake ever do to Yasin?
All
Because he
right.
damn sure raps more than you do. He raps more than you do.
Tater
So
tots with
when
the
you
super
calling him a
chat.
pop star, what you're saying is that he's more accessible than you are, which is true. But that's your own fault because you're an accomplished actor, singer, and rapper.
Yeah.
You chose your path. You could have been just as big as Drake had you applied yourself consistently. You chose your path. He chose his. Now reap what you sow.
Tater tots with the super chat says, y'all check out Joel's. I'm sorry, not Joel's. Joel Ortiz and Crooked's recent album, Prosper. It's fire. Gotta check that out. I didn't even know they dropped. Esquire with the super chat says the interviewer put him in a lose-lose position with the question, but he just gave his opinion. Drake doesn't have an LP better than Black on Both Sides or Black Star. LP with the super
Okay.
chat says, been saying this about Gibbs for years now. If y'all go back to the MC ranking, y'all gonna have to have him way higher than y'all did at the time. I think that's fair.
Catalog is crazy, Mike. His
Um,
catalog is crazy.
Let me start
Gibbs'
here.
catalog is crazy. Here's the thing. So can you go ahead? I'm sorry.
I
I didn't
was
mean to
gonna
cut you off.
say,
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I wanted to get in on this real quick. Well, you know what? Get that thought out so I can get to this Yasin thing, because I might
No,
run a
no, no.
little long.
This is a Yasin thing too. It's like so when Esquire said the interviewer put him in a lose-lose position with the question. Well, this is what I mean. So it's like let's not get Yasin confused, Mike. I told you it's like he's still that dude from the Change Clothes and Go video too, right? Like, why is somebody like him interviewing on the type of platform where they're asking Yasin questions about Drake, Mike? Think about
It's
that.
true.
He put himself in that position. That's
Yeah,
what I mean with how some of these dudes be moving. Mike,
we would
real
never
talk.
ask him about Drake.
Thank you, Mike. If we were doing a Yasin interview, we would never mention Drake's name one
We
motherfucking
wouldn't have
time.
to.
And so we don't have to because Yasin music speak for himself. We could talk about the Black Star Project, like the first one, and its impact on culture. We could talk about Black on Both Sides. We could talk about the new Danger. We're the one where he jumping across the building, Mike.
Oh yeah,
The
auditorium.
Ecstatic
Yeah,
Auditorium, the
yeah,
Ecstatic.
auditorium's on there, but yeah,
Yeah, the Ecstatic with
the
Auditorium
static.
on
Yeah,
there. We could talk about the whole rollout, about the new Black Star album and our feelings on it, and get their rationale for it, Mike. We could talk to him for about 3, 4, or 5 hours and never mention Drake's name. But he'd rather go interview with somebody like that. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And so I don't feel bad for him for being put in that position. Because I'm going to tell you what, for me as somebody who knows that he's a better MC as Drake, he didn't look good to me. And I don't like that for him and his greatness as a black man.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, and I hate to use the term hating because we just came off of that Benny conversation, and that was a term that was used for critics who were just critiquing music, right? If you don't like something, somehow you're hating. Now, I'll give Common that quote. It's like, if I don't like it, I don't like it. That don't mean that I'm hating. But it seems that Yasin has been hating on Drake since day one. And even, you remember back when he was talking about battling Drake, when he was quoting LL, talking about battle anybody, I don't care who you tell. And then Lupe stepped up and said, well, battle me, Mickey Fax, and I think it was, who else was it? But anyway, most of that backed down after that. And he was like, I ain't got time to battle, yada, yada.
He was talking about him and Black Thought. He's like, me and Black Thought can fade anybody.
I remember that. But it was about Drake, though. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this isn't the first time. And what has Drake done other than be successful for guys to react to him in this way? And if we want to talk
the part
about
where it comes off as hating.
Exactly.
That's where the hate comes.
And to say that he's pop based on what? He makes rap music. He makes actual records that get played in hip hop environments. I would say, and I'm not being tongue in cheek and being Mike D here, what makes Drake pop and Eminem not pop then? Because Eminem's music doesn't get played in hip hop places like Drake's does. It doesn't. I mean, hip hop DJs spin Drake shit. They don't spin Eminem shit.
Mike. No. Those are bars.
I'm just being real. Right there, so if we ask you, Yasin, is Eminem pop or hip hop, are you going to say Eminem's pop too, or is he hip hop somehow? And Drake's pop? Which is it? Because we can actually pull out who gets played on what radio formats. And Eminem shit gets played on pop radio formats and not hip hop radio formats. That's documented. Drake shit at least gets played in hip hop environments and hip hop platforms and hip hop radio stations. It does. So what are you basing this on?
You know, we always end up on this show somewhere back with these guys: Nas, Jay-Z, Eminem, Kanye. It's a beautiful rap world.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I hate Drake and I don't like his music, but Mos Def probably should not be talking when he was on that. I'm better than hip hop tip for a minute. He left the game and had to come crawling back.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's so for me, when artists speak about other artists, you have to be careful about your own place in space. And this makes me feel like he doesn't understand his place in his space. It's like, because he didn't go totally Andre 3000 on us, Mike, but he did kind of pull the, well, hip hop really doesn't excite me and I'm looking for, you know what I mean? He did kind of pull that move for a long ass time, Mike.
He did. I don't rap.
If you really want to know the truth,
yeah,
Mike, and it's like, Black on Both Sides is his only rap album to me. You know what I'm saying?
Everything else is a hybrid. Like, yeah,
everything else is like a hybrid, like a Drake, Mike.
Exactly. That's what makes this very interesting. And, you know, you and I spoke highly of the Black Star album that came out, their sophomore effort. And the MVP of that album, really, from a rhyming standpoint, was Talib. Most had his moments, but Yasin wasn't on there killing shit like that. And y'all can say whatever you want about Drake, whether you're a fan of him or not. Drake comes out here and raps, man. He raps.
I mean,
he raps.
I think everyone knows how I feel about Talib. Talib's the best MC on that sophomore Black Star album.
Yeah, he is. Hands down.
With Yasin right there in tow on every record with him, Talib is the superior MC on all of those records except for 2. And Black Thought blasted them both when Black Thought stepped to the mic.
Another thing that popped in my mind, let me get Esquire super chat real quick. Esquire with the super chat says fans assign a negative connotation to pop, But even Drake would agree with Mos Def. Now he said it in a negative way. Let's be real here.
Yes,
Drake is a hip hop
didn't say it.
titan, but only a quarter of his music caters to the purists. Okay, that's where I want to go. What the fuck is hip hop purists at this point when hip hop is popping itself? We saw it the whole hip hop 50 celebration, right? Everybody who was supposed to be purists, this and that, wanted to get on those big pop stages, correct?
I mean, Mike, not to be funny, but part of the reason why Griselda has such a grassroots following is because they're looked at it as hip hop purists. That's why going and doing the Breakfast Club and B Dot is like, I thought y'all were hip hop purists, but maybe they're not hip hop purists, and they just started out that way and didn't want to finish that way. And so, what I try not to do, like, I hate the word conscious rapper, gangster rapper, like pop artist. It's like, because when I think of pop, I think Michael Jackson and Prince. I don't think about Drake. I think about Janet. I think about Madonna. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's
Right.
pop to me. And so for me, that's where it becomes dismissive to put. First of all, it's dismissive to those artists because ain't no rapper fucking with those artists. Period. And then it's dismissive to the rapper saying, well, you really don't belong in this lane, like in this street orientation of a music form. You belong over here with an androgynous Prince, with a delicate Michael Jackson, with a female, feminine Madonna and Janet Jackson. So it's kind of a disrespect on a few levels to a few people, a few ways when you do that. And I'm thinking, like, first of all, it ain't like, you know, and I know Mos is from, Yasin is from Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? But Mos was never like a tough guy in this business, you know what I'm saying, to be making those type of assertions about Drake necessarily. That's why it's like when I'm looking at who it's coming from, it's not like it's Scarface saying that, Mike.
Is it
Yasin
about
saying that.
is it about the numbers and the attention? Because once again, if that's the
That's
case,
hating.
are
That's
you
hating.
ready to say the Eminem's pop? Are you ready to say
No,
that
that,
Tupac is pop?
you
If it's
don't have,
about the numbers and attention, right?
you don't even got to say that,
It's
Mike.
Snoop
At the
Dogg
point, if
pop.
it's if it's about the numbers and the attention, and you're talking about that man's numbers and his attention, that's hater territory, Mike.
It is.
You're in Haterville with all the other haters. You're Mike. You need to go on the haters' ball with Dumb It Down and Baldy
And you know
and Lil
what?
Bro.
And you know
Hate, hate,
again,
hate.
you
Hate,
know
hate, hate.
what Drake has done that I can't even say Eminem has done outside of people that he signed. Drake will take somebody who is a rapidy rap person or who is quote unquote hip hop and give them their first number one record.
J. Cole, anybody?
Now who else in the pop world does that if he's pop more than hip hop? Yeah, Meek Mill even.
Yeah, the record with Meek is probably one of the best records Meek has made, like in the
It's
last
his
5 years.
first and only number one record. You know what I'm saying? So
It sounds like some hateration and holleration in this dancery. Yes, it does. Family affair.
Mad Max with the super chat says Nas definitely calling Drake hip hop, but co-signed Kanye, who made pop music. Co-signed other pop artists, but Drake is not hip hop. I think at the end of the day, man, we saw from Hip Hop 50, and the fact that the Grammys did a whole Hip Hop 50 show, whatever you want to call it, showcase all the mainstream people who gave Hip Hop 50 this love. It's safe to say that hip hop is just pop in general, right? Hip hop is a part of popular culture, is it not?
Hold on.
That's what the whole fight was.
Was Run DMC is Run DMC pop for making Walk This Way with Aerosmith?
Right.
Because Run DMC, you could say for the style of records that they made in the climate that they were they pop?
At the time, I would imagine so. I mean, some of the OGs would say, look, we didn't like Walk This Way. We didn't like when they went out there and did that record. Because if you look at it, Walk This Way is what, 86, 87? Eric
It's
B.
on Raising Hell. That's 86, I believe.
Yeah. It's on Raising Hell. I think that's 86. Yeah, I think you're right.
That's 86.
Either way, you got Eric B as president and all that stuff coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Right.
I would imagine that was viewed as pop.
Right, because it's like because 9mm Goes Bang is made like 8 or 9 months after Walk This Way. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And even when you let's look at Houdini and look at Run DMC. Houdini's stuff is a lot more, I don't want to say street oriented, but more towards the hip hop aesthetic and the hip hop audience. as opposed to the
It's Kurt.
crossover audience. But again, this whole Hip Hop 50 experience last year showed me that hip hop wants that crossover acceptance. We saw all
First
of
of
our
all,
elders and OGs out there taking in the love and the crossover acceptance from the pop world, from the mainstream, and
right.
complained when they didn't get it.
First of
So
all, hold
now
on.
pop has a negative connotation.
Hold on. Let me ask you something. Is Curtis Blow's Basketball and If I Rule the World, is that
Yes,
pop?
of
Because
course.
because
Popular
because
records, right?
because Nas and Lauryn Hill damn sure jacked it and made it a hip hop record.
It's one of his
You want to
biggest
know
records.
why? Because it's a hip hop record. It just
Exactly.
happens to be popular with the masses.
Mad Max with the super chat says,
I
but
don't
when
know why we
Drake,
having this conversation.
Mad Max says, but when Drake dies, people gonna be like hip hop. Mad Max also says they gonna say he was hip hop. Okay. Let's see what else we got. I know we got another super chat here. Esquire with the super chat says his point is twofold. One, Target has a little bit of everything a customer could need. And two, Drake, like Jay-Z, gives the charts what they want and thrives. Man, I love
No,
how fans can spin
no,
for
Esquire,
artists.
Esquire, Esquire. I love you, brother. Stop that. Let's, if you really want to break it down, Mike, let's break it down.
Yeah.
He's bringing up Target because of all the local department stores, Mike, that have all the goods in them. Target's the expensive one and is usually frequented more by the Anglo-Saxon affluent community than the black community. He didn't say Walmart. He didn't say Kroger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He's painting a
He
picture.
said Target. Like, Yasin is brilliant. He said Target for a reason.
He did.
To give it a certain connotation. Esquire, I know you know what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's trying to speak in code about Drake being outside of this community by using Target to the connotation. Mike, remember when we used to joke and call Target Target because it was so fancy? And the prices cost more than the Walmart items?
Mm-hmm.
He knew what he's doing when he used Target for one. So this is about him throwing shade to Drake. Just the Target comment alone, that's code for the white women with money.
Yep.
Let's not fucking play games here and act like that's not what he said.
That's exactly what he said. That was exactly where he was coming from with it. That shouldn't have been such a difficult question to answer, first of all. That wasn't a lose-lose question.
And Mike, and Yasin is one of the more classically trained MCs we've ever had because he was an actor before he was an MC.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows how to answer a question on the spot better than almost anybody.
Well, that's where it comes in, where it feels like there's some
said
jealousy
Target for a
involved,
reason.
right? He's done everything that Drake has been able to do successfully. He's an actor, he's a singer, and an MC. Now, Drake was all three of those things, but he took it to levels that Yasin didn't take it for whatever reason. That's where it feels like hate's coming involved. Like, look, I'm better than this guy. Why is this guy doing all these numbers? How is this guy so big?
Hey, if you better, prove it then.
Web Visibility with the super chat says, putting the messenger aside, I definitely think early Drake was more lyrical, and his music was solidly within the rap genre. But his most recent work, I would label more pop than rap. Why? Again, where's the label coming from?
Is Future pop? Is Young Thug pop? Because they get titled as rappers.
Exactly. It's gonna pop. Like, what are we saying is pop about what he does?
Pop.
What's that?
It's Lil Baby pop. All of them. Are they pop? Hold on. Is the Drake, we about to talk about 21 solo album. Is the Drake and 21 project, is that a rap album, Mike? Or is that a pop album?
And if it's a pop album, why? Is my question.
How?
Exactly.
When?
Are you other than, let's put the numbers aside. When? If somebody say, you know what, numbers and all that ain't factored in, what feature, and I'm not talking about feature as far as featured appearance, but what aesthetic does Drake's music give you that makes you feel like it's pop?
Hey, look here. This 21 Savage album got just as many songs about girls as a Drake album. Is it a pop album?
I wouldn't label it that. Black Wealth and Power with the super chat says, "Why can't Drake be hip hop, R&B, and pop? Why does he have to be one thing? Drake is a hip hop legend. If we want to deal with it or not." Bottom line, I mean, if somebody were to ask me, "Is Drake a hip hop artist?" That wouldn't be a
Yes.
difficult question. That's not a lose
The
lose
answer is yes.
question. I'll say yes, he is.
The answer is that yes. The answer is yes. Next question. Why
And
are we
and,
talking
and then
about Drake?
and then this answer is coming from someone once again who did more singing at a certain point than he did rapping. Like I remember buying the New Danger, being disappointed because he wasn't rapping on it 100% like he was on Black on Both Sides. But over time, I got over that and like, you know what? It's a dope piece of work. He got songs on there like Life is Real. He got Sunshine on there. He's doing his thing. But for him, of all people, who is an actor, MC, and vocalist, to try to marginalize the next guy who went out there and let's just keep it real, did it on a global scale more
Did it bigger?
successfully.
Did it better? No, say it. Did it bigger? Did it better?
Did it bigger.
Did it bigger? He did it better.
For you to criticize that person and say, well, you know what? He's not hip hop like I am. He's pop. And we know what
So,
that
Mike,
connotation looks like for our era. And it started with the Tribe stuff and with MC Hammer and all that. Rap is not pop. If you call it that, then stop. But at the same time, you know, we got the Grammy putting on a wonderful show for Hip Hop 50 and gave the conscious guys a whole stage. And they ate it up. That's not pop. It's coming on ABC in the, you know what I'm saying, on prime time. Hip hop itself is pop. And y'all fought for hip hop to be pop and crossover and get that mainstream adulation. Don't throw a negative connotation on it now when you want to single out an individual who's just doing it bigger than everybody else. It is what it is.
So a couple things, Mike. First of all, unlike you, when I heard the New Danger, that's the last Mos Def album I bought. Because I was like, oh no. I said, because this is the type of hip hop fan that I am. I'm like, I'm not about to let you do this to me.
I bought it,
He is
man.
one of those guys, Mike, at the time. Oh no, he is somebody that has the capability when we talk about Nas and Jay and Big and Pac and Rakim and Scarface and Ice Cube. He is one of those guys that has the capability to be in that conversation.
From a skill set.
So when he came out with the
yeah.
New Danger, I said, I'm out. I respectfully decline moving forward. And so I didn't really listen to his projects unless it was secondhand smoke. To the next thing, Mike, when we're talking about pop, is parents just don't understand by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince Pop? Because I'm pretty certain that that's the song that won that album. I'm the DJ, he's the rapper. Best rap album at the Grammys. You know, the first rap Grammy.
Yeah. Are we going to celebrate that or not?
Mike, is that a rap record or not?
I think it's a rap record. At the end of the day, like I said,
a rap record, Mike.
If people aren't going to sit here and apply this same thing, if they're not going to sit here and apply this same thing to Eminem, I don't want to hear it. Because, I'm not going to sit here and say that Eminem's not making, well, I've said it on this show before, I think he makes more pop music. He's an extraordinary lyricist and MC, and he's made rap records. But many of his records that were very big were big on the pop charts, and they get played on CHR formats. That's contemporary hit radio formats, and they don't get played on hip hop or hip hop and R&B or urban radio. They don't. That's just the reality of it. And if you're not willing to say that individual's pop, I don't want to hear it when it comes to Drake, because Drake has fed the hip hop aesthetic way more than Eminem has. And that's just the honest truth. And it makes me wonder, why? Are we talking from a skill standpoint? And it goes back to that conversation that you and I had, I think, last week or whatever. So because somebody has a certain skill level, that makes them more hip hop than the next person? That's
not how it
You know
works.
what I mean? Like, is Fonte more hip hop than Silk the Shocker just because they have different skill levels and they take on different aesthetics when it comes to their production?
See, that's what I'm saying. See, the question should be, is Fonte a better rapper than Silk the Shocker?
Exactly.
The answer to that is hell yeah. Is y'all seen a better rapper than Drake? Oh, hell yeah. Should he be saying this? Oh, hell no. You want to know why he shouldn't be saying this? Because he's a better rapper. But, Mike, listen to what I'm saying. Yasin don't have one solo record in the last 10, 15 years that's better than Back-to-Back or 0-100. So he needs to cease and desist with that talk because he don't have a solo rap record like either one of those records I just named. Now, does he?
I mean, he just don't have any records. It is what it is.
So he should maybe stop. So this goes back to the conversation we're having earlier. It's like, man, you going on platforms and talking to people who really don't love you. They'd rather ask you questions about Drake because they don't even know who you are and know your fucking catalog like that, my G.
Mad Max
like, that's real talk. So I don't. So more than even being a hater, once again, might be looking for love in the wrong place though, because
that's the theme of this show. It seems like, right?
Why would you go talk to somebody that would even ask you a question like that when you're fucking Most Def, aka Yasin? Like, just your bar work alone on the Black Star album and on Black on Both Sides is worth a 2-3 hour conversation, Mike. You feel me? Like, even if you don't go past Black on Both Sides on 1999, that's enough to have a conversation with that man. So the fact that he put himself in a position to act like a hater and behave like a hater because he was looking for love in the wrong place and talking to a woman that probably don't really know his catalog or what his spit game is like, that would rather ask him questions about Drake than ask him about his own greatness because he is great, that's his fucking fault.
I'm with you. Mad Max with the super chat says, but K-Dot can have hooks like Boo Boo and TT, and that is just hip hop, right? Though, right? Most Def? Real. Like, I don't even want to get on that soapbox, but yeah, let's listen to that record on the Black Panther soundtrack or whatnot, where K-Dot's just saying stuff, and that's hip hop, I guess. Esquire with the super chat says, Drake has substance from time to time. He says, Look What I've Done is the best record. It's his best record, but he has a track record of successfully making quote-unquote safe music. It's a lot of people who do that, Esquire.
A lot of people make safe music, Esquire.
A lot of people do that.
He might make safe music, but he also makes 8 a.m. in Charlotte. When the last time Yasin gave us an 8 a.m. in Charlotte? When the last time we seen Yasin go solo for 5 minutes on a record, Mike?
It's true.
You feel me?
Esquire with the super chat says, I agree with Coop's take on target consumer. Drake is a part of the culture. He is a transcendent hip hop, but he never made a pure rap album. And neither has Andre 3000.
He's only made one. Black on Both Sides is his only pure rap album, and the best song on that album, that nigga singing, Mike.
What is a pure
singing
rap
like
album?
You're
just talking about rapping from end to end. What is a pure rap album? I guess is my question.
Because if that's the case, Yasin's never made a pure rap album. Because once again, the best song on Black on Both Sides, that nigga singing.
Web Visibility with the super chat says, I always defined rap and pop based on what radio stations and artists get played on. If you only get played on Hot 97, Power 105, you're not pop. That's real. If we talk about end to end, never made an end to end rap album, respectfully, the great Lauryn Hill's never done that either. That didn't keep her out of discussions.
Mike, Andre be in discussions and he don't even have a fucking rap album. He's got a whole flute album, Mike. He's got a flute album.
And he's got, The Love Below, where he rapped like 3 times.
4 times, Mike.
Was it 4? Happy Valentine's Day, Spread. And the last song.
No, there's another rap on there somewhere. We're missing a rap.
I don't think it is, man.
Happy Valentine's Day, Spread. Verse on Spread is dope.
It is. All 3 of the verses are great. Nah, man, I know that album pretty well. I don't think there's another verse in there. No, unless you're counting Big Boy's verse on Roses.
Yeah. 3. You're right, Mike. That's what I was thinking about. There's 4 rap verses on there. One of them belonged to Big Boy.
Yeah.
Never mind. I stand corrected.
So, I mean, I think that there's been pushback for Drake from the elder statesmen from day one. And I can only imagine how Drake feels probably growing up on people like Common. I mean, he started off doing songs with Fonte, Elzai, and Ninth Wonder. So he really listens to that hip-hop aesthetic. I'm sure he was a Mos Def fan just like the rest of us. Well, all the guys that he came up listening to start hating on dude for no reason. Clips, you got Common, Damn, most def. DMX was giving it to Drake when he first came in the game too. It's like, dang. So I could see if it was something that just happened over time and Drake's sound changed and all that, like Esquire's saying. But they've been at this young man's head, and he's not young anymore, but since he was a young man. When he came in the game, they were at his head.
Hey, let me ask you something. If they were to battle, like if they were to have a diss record battle right now, who would you pick, Drake or Yasin?
Drake. Why wouldn't
Yep.
y'all? He's proven in a battle. That's the other
Yep.
thing too. How are you gonna sit
Yep.
here and say this man's not hip hop when this man is proven in the art of battle?
Because most
How?
didn't battle proven. The one time
No.
he tried to challenge people to a battle, as soon as Lupe poked his head out, he ducked
stepped down.
No, Mike, it was a duck down. It wasn't a step down.
Yeah. He said, I don't have
Step down is
time
what
to
you do
write
on
battle
stairs.
raps.
A duck down is what you do when you're fucking hiding from the competition. Duck down.
Esquire with the super chat says, a pure rap album is a rap album, not a hybrid. Lauryn Hill never made one either. Hotline, One Dance, Find Your Love, We're Going Home are not hip hop records. Well, if that's the case, like Coop said, Black on Both Sides isn't one either. Because
Isn't
Umi
Thank
says
Me Later?
it's
Hold on. What's the singing song on Thank Me Later?
Shut It Down, I believe, with The Dream.
Okay.
Mad Max of the super chat says Drake never made a pure rap album. Neither has Dot or Cole. They sing on all their albums. Maybe most mad because of Drake's mom's side, since he's all Palestinian. Who are people that have Caucasian lineage? I said it. I mean, maybe that's it. Jamie Martinez with super chat says, I'm from New York City and Drake gets played on KTU and Z100. And those are pop stations, respectfully. Him being pop isn't a bad thing. Are there any other rap artists that get played?
We're saying the way that most tried to frame it, tried to make it seem like it's a bad thing. And our thing is like, A, why are you pulling up on somebody that's asking you questions about Drake? And B, why are you fucking hating?
Well, Jamie Martinez, I want to know, like, does KTU play any other rappers or rap songs? Or is it just Drake? Because those are some of the things that I've expressed, my background in radio and stuff when it comes to Eminem. I've experienced.
Well, I'm about to say Eminem is definitely getting played on those stations.
I've experienced Eminem getting played on stations that don't play rap music at all. Like, they're not going to give you a Nelly. They're not going to give you any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Rock stations, honestly. Beastie Boys got a little bit of that too. But,
like, hold on, Mike. Is Ja Rule pop?
I guess by that definition, yes. I don't know.
Ja Rule. I ain't never heard Ja Rule get played at no Target. I've never heard Ja Rule on a pop station. Never. Not one time. Where would I be without you?
This whole conversation of what real hip hop is, again, it's always funny because it turns into, if you're making traditional boom bap East Coast hip hop, then that's what real hip hop is. Everything else that people are making, which is an offshoot of those things, or what they deem an offshoot of those things, is less than hip hop. And so it makes you take it back to, okay, well, what were the original hip hop records, and how did the boom bap style or East Coast style get precedence over all other styles?
Well, see, this is what I'm saying. So it's like you can't win for losing on either side. It's like, I'm pretty certain Nas and Hit Boy just did that for 6 albums and didn't have one platinum plaque to show for it, Mike.
Right. But people will say, okay, well, that's real. What is real hip hop? Not doing things that are going to be successful.
It's real fucked up that it ain't platinum, Mike. That's the only real shit about it.
Not going platinum is real hip hop. Okay, I got it.
You feel
At the end of the day, once we start making things about numbers, and when people like Jay, who is achieved as he is, and even before he was achieved, talking about going platinum in a week, doing numbers, 50 talking about doing numbers, sorry to bust anyone's bubble, but hip hop is pop now. If you have albums that are going to be able to sell 1 million units in 1 week, you're pop. It is what it is. And not just the individual, the genre. If there is an actual hip hop album like the Carter 3, that did 1 million in a week, right? Graduation did 1 million in a week, pretty much.
Like
50 Cent
Graduation
did
was
a
a pop
million in
album,
a
if
week
that's the
with The
case.
Massacre. That ain't no pop album. The Massacre's not a pop album.
It's got Piggy Bank on there.
Yeah.
Definitely rap. It's definitely some rap shit.
It's got
God
Ski
Gave You
Mask
Style is
Way
on
on
there.
there. Yeah, it's got Ski
Yeah, but I say
Mask Way
God
on
Gave
there.
You
Like, come
Style
on.
is on there. Some rap shit, Mike.
Exactly.
But Candy Shop is on there too, Mike.
It is.
And to quote my social media name, Mike, what's wrong with us being all the things?
Exactly.
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Why can't I mean like that's what I'm saying is like he didn't say that Drake was all the things. He said Drake is pop. It's like, well, if he's pop, he's also hip hop and R&B too, and you should have said that.
Exactly. And Target shouldn't have
But you
even
should
been brought up.
but you shouldn't have been doing an interview with somebody that's asking somebody like Yassine questions about Drake. How about that?
Jay Short with the super chat
Looking for
says,
love in all the wrong places.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I agree 100% with Coop on the new Danger take. We not going to go back and revisit and revise history and pretend like that album was good. You get to make that as your 7th album, not your 2nd.
Yeah. No. It's like that's what I mean. Is like he's always thought more highly of himself than his output was because I'm not even sure if Black on Both Sides is a classic, Mike. You feel me?
I've always felt like that, Coop, and I'm a big Mos Def Yassine Bey fan. But if you
It's a great
ask
album,
me,
but it's not a classic.
if you ask me if Black on Both Sides is in the chamber of even the classics that came around it, 2001, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, Aquemini, like it's not on that level to me.
Hold on. You want to know what it's closer to? It's closer to A Capital Punishment by Big Pun.
It
Those
is.
are great albums, not classic albums.
I agree. Esquire with the super chat says Drake is one of hip hop's greats, but when we talk about being the poster child for pure hip hop, do you consider Drake to be hip hop in the same sense as Common? Well, see, why do we even make Common the poster child for quote unquote pure hip hop? Where does that come from? And why?
Hold on.
And why is Common more the poster child for pure hip hop than somebody like Scarface? Is that not who you think about when you talk about pure hip hop? Scarface doesn't sing. Scarface just gives you the real when it comes to his bars. So why is Common, in the eyes of many, more pure hip hop than the Scarface?
Right. Is Come Close and the Light not pop records?
I mean, they crossed over records. I mean, if somebody wants to,
Control, that's not a pop record.
what's that?
Them pop. I mean, aren't those records pop records though? And for all y'all thinking that Mos Def's Black on Both Sides is a classic, I want y'all that album is 19 songs long. I want y'all to name me 7 classic songs.
Jamie Martinez with the super chat. Shout out to Jamie coming back. He says, Eminem definitely gets played on KTU and Z100, but hip hop isn't really their demographic. They aren't going to play at 8 a.m. in Charlotte. But the fact that Drake actually has that. Go ahead.
Last question for Jamie. Do Tupac and Big get played there?
It sounds like they're a station, and I've never heard of these stations out of New York because the only ones I know of are the hip hop ones, right? Sounds like they just play pop records. They probably play a lot of Taylor Swift and stuff like that.
I love
y'all. And Drake has crossed over so much where they have to play his records.
I love y'all, but I'm gonna say this respectfully because I love Capital Punishment, and I love Black on Both Sides. When you make a 19-20 track album, half the songs need to be classic for it to be considered a classic.
Somebody said I didn't answer a question. What question did I not answer?
Neither one of them fit that bill.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the classic songs on Capital Punishment. First of all, Super Lyrical with Black Thought.
Right.
Dream Shatterer. I guess you could say the Triple Sace with Prodigy and Deck. You Came Up with Noriega. And both of the Player records. That's 6 out of 19. That's a great album. That's not a classic album. Want to go to Black on Both Sides, Mike? Because Black on Both Sides may have less classic records than Capital Punishment. It's not a classic.
I think
you
the
love
thing
it, don't make it a
is,
fucking classic. It's like that first Black Star album's not a classic. It's just a great album. It's a difference. Tired of explaining this
when
shit.
we talk about classics, though, man, I think that it's important
You
It's like,
loving it
why
ain't
is
enough.
it a classic, right? Impact is one of those big things, right? Get Rich or Die Trying has the music, but the impact of what that album was able to do in the time that it did and the chokehold that it had on the game, that makes it classic without the
Go
music
play.
even being
Listen.
involved. But we got to
Go
ask
play
ourselves,
Moment of
though,
Truth.
Coop, is it classic from an impact standpoint? Is it a classic from a musical standpoint? And in my personal opinion, I don't think that based on the
Beware is not
people
a classic.
around it, it's just not on the level on any of those metrics to be
No,
labeled
no, no.
classic.
Here's what I mean by it's a classic. Go play Moment of Truth, and then
Yeah.
go play Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides, and tell me the Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides is a classic. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, Moment of Truth. That's a great
That's what
example.
I'm talking about, Mike.
Because
Moment of
even
Truth is a
without the
classic.
impact, even without the quote unquote impact and all the mainstream
Right. That's why I'm
fanfare,
bringing it up, Mike.
you can
You can hear it song
Yeah.
on every fucking song, damn near. No
Yeah.
Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides ain't like that.
It ain't. It ain't. They're great albums,
ain't.
but it ain't like that. Shit, let's go to X. Dark
I
and
said
Hell is
both of the
Hot.
play record. Oh, they don't want no part of It's Dark and Hell is Hot.
No.
It is crushing.
That's
it is,
something
Mike,
different.
It's Dark and Hell is Hot destroys Black on Both Sides and Capital Punishment. That's how I know it's not a classic.
Yeah.
It gets destroyed by an album like that, Mike.
Yeah.
Not beat, destroyed. The first half of It's Dark and Hell is Hot is better than both of those albums.
Mad Max in the super chat says, because Mike,
Why?
Common is a black woman as God type of guy who has substance that, our people like. Guys who talk about our pain to feel like someone cares.
Tupac did that.
Yeah.
Tupac actually
But then they
called
called
God
Tupac a
woman
hypocrite.
once. Tupac actually called God a woman once, so that's Tupac too, right?
LP with the super
This nigga
chat
is
says,
wild today.
I remember when pop radio used to mute the raps. Yeah, me too. Esquire with the super chat says, sure, replace Common with Face. The point remains KRS, Pac, Redman, etc. consistently make great hip hop that derives from the essence of the genre/culture. Well, this is the thing, Esquire. You're bringing up guys from a whole different era. Bring up those same names in Drake's era and tell me the big difference between Drake and those guys. Because let's be honest, if Drake was actually in a different era, I'm pretty sure his approach to music would be slightly different as well. So are we going to sit here and say that Cole and those guys aren't hip hop? Because really, just even from an approach standpoint, give me the biggest difference between the way that J. Cole and Drake approach their music. You know what I'm saying? Like aesthetically, because they both do similar things. J. Cole's just a much better rapper, in my estimation, whereas Drake is a much better radio record maker. But when you get them on the same record, as we just saw, they can make music together where they don't have to compromise for each other. You know what I'm saying?
I like that analysis, Mike.
I mean, because that's what it is. They
Capital
both have
Punishment.
they have their individual strong points. That doesn't make one more hip hop than the other. They just have their lanes that they go in. If you're a center and the other person's a point guard and you both play that position, great. Does that make one person a better basketball player than the other or less of a basketball player, right? Like, yeah, he really ain't a basketball player like that. He's just a center. He just plays in the paint.
Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides are not classics. There's not enough classic records on there. I'm sorry.
This is the thing, Coop. We lived it. We were there.
Don't have enough.
We lived it. We were there. We remember when those records came out. We remember what the actual buzz was like. So for us, we're basing the classic nature on how it was. All of this is revisionist history. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's not like that.
Shit.
It's not like that.
I'm not revising shit.
Yeah, it's
You
not like
understand?
that.
Moment of Truth was a classic from the moment it came out. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Aquemini, those are classics. 2001, those are classics.
I love
That's a
Mos
classic.
Def's too. I love Mos Def too.
Like a classic is something that you don't have to argue or debate about, Mike.
Exactly.
If it's a conversation, it's not a classic.
Listen, Coop, I love Mos Def, and we never were saying that Black on Both Sides was a classic.
We never
were
came
saying
out.
that the
said
Black
that.
Star album was a classic, and that's not to
We
be
never said
disrespectful.
that. It
It's just
didn't
the
happen.
truth. I love Method Man and Redman. We never were saying that the Blackout album was a classic, and I love that album. But if you were to
Mike,
sit there and ask me then, like, is it a classic? Like, nah, man, but this is a dope album.
Mike, when There's a Dark Side came out, nobody said it was a classic because it wasn't.
Mad Max with the super chat says, yo,
Fact.
Most, if you see this, Drake said, it bothers me when the gods get to acting like the broads. You sounded sassy on that pod, gang. That's not that, that's not becoming of you.
Did he say sassy?
Yeah, he did. Those were his words, not mine, Yassine, man. Jay Short with the super chat says, can you pose for a picture in blackface and be hip hop? Well, both Drake and Mos Def did that, so you know. Another thing they got in common.
I don't. How about this, Mike? Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
If we're doing the top, let's say, how many? Let's say we're just doing '90s rap albums, just '90s rap albums.
Mm-hmm.
Does Black on Both Sides or Capital Punishment even make the top 25, Mike?
No, I don't think
It's
so.
not a classic. It's not a fucking classic.
Jordan House with the super chat says,
stupid talk. Like, stop thinking that it's a classic because you love it. There are albums that I love, Mike, and I know it's not a classic.
yeah,
Like, it's it. It's
a lot of them.
Sometimes.
A lot of them.
I love, Mike, I love TM103 by Jeezy. I love that album. It's not a classic. I love it. It's not a classic. Mike, I love Urban Legend by T.I. It's not a classic.
Yeah, 100% agree.
It's okay. It's okay.
Jordan House with the super chat says, mad random, but good day or mind playing tricks. Mind playing tricks.
Mind playing tricks.
You know, and that's not the slight good day, but it just is what it is. Let's get to this 21 Savage thing because we could be on this all day. I love this topic because, you know, it's something that needs to be said.
Man, I can name 35 rap albums from the 90s better than Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides. Stop that shit. Almost every Wu-Tang album that came out in the fucking 90s is better than those albums. Stop that.
The L Web 100 with the super chat says, the difference is Drake sings on records, Cole doesn't. Yes, he does. Drake makes catchy music for emo teens. He's not a lyricist. Wow, man. Mos Def sings too. Andre sings too, and nobody has a problem with it.
Y'all are wild.
Esquire with the super chat says, oh, and Kendrick sings too. Kendrick sings too. He got on the record.
Mike, he just doesn't sing well. He shouldn't, Mike, we shouldn't even count that. He doesn't sing well. He's not a good singer. He's barely a good rapper anymore. Stop that.
Esquire with the super chat says, Kendrick, Cole, and Lupe are a part of his era. Does Jack Harlow fit as squarely into the hip-hop category as Shay Noir or Love the Genius? Well, see, Jack Harlow is in the Eminem category when it comes to how his music is placed. But I will give Jack Harlow this. He makes records that could be played in hip-hop environments. Although some of those records get crossed over because of who he is and who he caters to. Mad Max with the super chat says, if Ice Cube or Mos Def did blackface to highlight how the industry makes black artists play characters of black people, purists would say it's conscious. Well, I mean, look at the cover of The New Danger. Nobody had a problem with that. Not saying that Mos was in blackface, but he darkened his skin up. Mad Max with the super chat says, not just Andre, Mos, Dot, and Cole, Mike, Biggie sang on Life After Death too. You're right. So yeah, because of Player Hater, Life After Death is not a pure hip hop album either. Jesus, man, what are we doing, man? You guys are wild.
Puff Daddy's all in the family is better than Capital Punishment and Black on Both Sides. Stop that.
Are you talking about No Way Out?
No Way Out, whatever. All in the Family,
All
No
in
Way
the
Out.
Family.
Take that. I don't care what you call the motherfucking album. It's better than Capital Punishment and
No Way
Black
Out's
on
a
Both
classic.
Sides.
Yeah, No Way Out's a classic. Let's talk about
That's
the
a
21
classic,
Savage album because I got to get out of here in a second.